Successful people apply their learnings to the hilt. Have you ever noticed this? Where there's a good handful of successful people out there that credit their success to only like one or two books or only like a small handful of sources that they used as their main piece of information. It really makes me think, right? Because we are now in a world where there's so much information, we are actually drowning with options of what to study. And there is so much information out there, and there's so much versions of information out there. And what I want to try and get at in this video is that it's not necessarily about the quantity of information that you consume anymore. It's how well you apply it. How much are you willing and able to apply the information to the hilt in every single aspect of your life? Leah, come here. And so that really makes me think where it makes total sense why these few people, these people will have one book that they just reference their entire life off of. Because some of these books, they reference just such dense wisdom where it can take a lifetime to apply it. And figuring out how to apply it in your own specific, unique situation is really how you should apply every book. And I've said this in one of my previous lessons, talking about how to read if you hate reading, where I also talked about how I rather read, 10 really high quality books, and then apply it really well, rather than reading 100 high quality books, but applying all of them poorly. The reason why it makes so much sense for these successful people to apply such few sources is because what's more valuable than hoarding valuable information is applying valuable information. And so that is where I ask you, how are you consuming your information, right? Are you just hoarding knowledge to the point where you don't even apply it? So many people fall for this trap with self-help. It's ridiculous. But if you actually manage to take a massive amount of action and gotten a small taste of just how much results you can get by just trying to apply one teaching, one book, one lesson, then you'll be like one of those successful people that just takes so much action because they know that is what works. And so going forward for me, I'm actually going to start to pick a well-selected book and then just focus on really trying to apply it in my everyday experience. From there, Leah's just rolling around on the floor. It's funny. You done now? I think I will get a lot farther if I just really figure out how to apply few strong teachings across the entire board of my life. I think that will yield the most results for me. For example, the teaching of acquiring what you admire. Right? If I just really focused on just that insight, how I can actualize that in my entire life, I gotta think like, hey, well, what do I admire? So I have to think a lot about like, hey, who's a person I admire? Like, what are their daily processes and what do they have? And that just comes into like a whole. That just comes into a whole rat's nest or a whole rabbit hole that you can go down. Right? And so, really try to take this attitude on, instead of trying to just accomplish reading 50 books or 100 books, try to accomplish really applying 10 books. Instead of reading 50 books in a year, try to really apply 10 books in a year or 12, one for every month, right? I believe you'll get way farther if you take this approach. And what I'm suggesting is that is what successful people do. That is what the people that get shit done, they just are so action oriented. Their theory just guides their own personal contemplations, their own personal intentions on how to actualize their ideals, right? So they already have an attitude that they are going to try and figure it out on their own. But if they can find a book that can help them, point them in the right direction, then they're going to use that book as much as they can, because they realize that the writer of that book is going to be able to shortcut their own processes down. They're going to be able to create a shortcut such that they won't have to spend so many years trying to figure it out on their own. Right, Max? So, I really like this idea here because I think it's massively underestimated just how powerful it is to just try and focus on approaching one set of teachings. Approach a small set of teachings really well rather than trying to implement like several teachings in a crappy manner, right? Makes sense? Right, Max? Yeah. So, with that, that's about it. Thanks for watching.